Yo, what's good? I wanted to jump on this Saturday and do a live. I actually might change the time of these videos to just start doing lives on Saturday anyway, because I don't know. I be wanting to do live on Fridays, but then people I watch doing lives, and I be like, damn, I gotta cut my live short because I want to see something else, and I don't like doing that. So I might switch and make Saturday if I ain't doing nothing typical live day. But this video is gonna be interesting because everybody on YouTube is talking about scammers and the finesses. You got Tony the Closer, JT. You got so many people out there who are exposing scammers. And one thing that I thought about, and I know the stats on it, so it's interesting. We're definitely going to dive into the stats. But one thing I thought about is, do people really know who gets scammed more? Now, there's a lot of ways you can break this down. You can break it down by gender. You can break it down by race. You can break it down by socioeconomic status. But I said, let's just focus on gender for a moment. Who is easier to scam or more susceptible to be a victim of a scam? Is it men? Is it women? I posted this question on the community and we're going to dive in and talk about it. Also, we're going to take a look at some common scams that are going on out there. Short videos, 2 to 3 minutes. I'm going to give my take and reaction on them. So it's going to be interesting. And at the end, we're going to wrap it up so we can see, the battle of the who get finessed most, the battle of the sexes, who gets finessed most. We're going to get an answer to that. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, like this video, share this content so it can reach more people. I'm Marcus. I'm a licensed attorney. Hey, I've been doing this, law thing, financial fraud thing, investigations thing for a long time now. So, I kind of seen damn near pretty much anything when it comes to the white collar fraud arena. As always, I got to toss out the disclaimer. I'm a licensed attorney, but I'm not your attorney. So this isn't legal or financial advice. Just letting y'all know, hey, what's going on. And this is for infotainment purposes. Always seek a professional in your area. Yo, I'm a little, I don't know, I may need a coffee, a boost, or energy drink because your boy been up since 5:30. I went to a range today. And before we dive in, there's still good people in the world. Maybe not many, but there's still good people in the world. I drive about 2 hours away to go to the range with uh, my daughter. They have this whole outing that they're gonna do. My daughter number two. So I was like, hey, she was like, hey, I want you to go with me. I was like, cool. We leave 5:30, 6 o'clock. We get there. It's one of those places we so deep in the damn woods where they got to the point where it's like, yo, if you don't even got an SUV, don't drive down here because you're gonna get stuck. After riding about a mile through a back road, when we finally getting ready to leave, we got there at about 9. We're leaving at about 1:30. What happens? I get a flat tire. About a mile deep in the woods, I get a flat tire. Luckily, I was able to fix it and get it squared away. But you got to remember, we were in the middle of like nowhere. It was literally nothing out there, very rural. I was able to, get about 20 minutes down the road to an auto zone. And luckily, I was able to get it squared away. Somebody they gave me an assist to. So shout out to them because there's some dope, cool people in the world who will still help you out. And I was grateful because I don't know about y'all, but if you're in the city and your car break down, you are screwed. Nobody gonna stop. Well, generally nobody gonna stop. I always ask if I see somebody. If you're on the side of the road, I'm not stopping in like the highway to go over there. That's just I'm not doing that. I wouldn't expect nobody to do that to me. But like if I'm in a parking lot leaving out of the store and somebody got their hood up or something like that, I always ask like, yo, you good? You need anything? Because I keep a lot of tools and stuff in the car like that. Or if I see somebody on a motorcycle on the side of the road, I always pull over. 100% of the time, not 100%, but 95% of the time I pull over because I ride a motorcycle and I damn sure don't want that to be me on the side of the road. Now let's jump into this fraud game, okay? Now, who falls for fraud more? I put a poll up. I put a poll up to get some opinion of the community to see how things played out. And I just wanted to tell y'all the results. I'm not even going to pull it up. Who do you think is more likely to get scammed? Discuss in the comments. Okay. 78% voted women, 22% voted men, okay? The very first comment is from my guy No Name. Shout out to No Name. I thought this was a funny comment. He said, "Scams are run on emotion trumping logic." The answer is pretty clear on this one. So that's how it started. Some other people, pennies to dollars, commented how repairmen often take advantage and scam women, talking about how they just try to get women on the finesse side of the game. So we're gonna jump back into that comment when it's time to start. But before we go in, let's go ahead pull up some of these videos. What's going on, Lisa? I appreciate you tuning in. Thank you, sis. You voted females? Oh, okay. Interesting. A couple of people who I asked just off the cuff in person, they got it right. They was like, but yeah, we're gonna dive into that. But first, let's take a look. I'm gonna react to a few of these scams. Now, one of the scams I really wanted to get up and talk about was romance scams, because I think those are the most hilarious forms of scams. People are sending tens of thousands of dollars to some guy in Nairobi or Nigeria who they think. I think those are the wildest type of scams. But I'm gonna be honest, it was really hard to find a really good one with like some black folks on. I was trying to find one where like a black guy got finessed, and there are a lot out there, but they was all like on maybe TLC or Catfish or something like that. And you know how fugazi and crazy they act. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna pull up this playlist real quick. All right, we're gonna take a look at some videos. We ain't gonna dive into all of these, but let's dive into this one first. This is an actual interesting scam. This is probably the longest video. And shout out to Pocket Watching with JT, because he had a video on this topic last night. So let's start with this one, because this is the longest and probably the most interesting.
Right now at 5:30, after a News for Jackson I-Team investigation into this well-known Jacksonville entrepreneur accused of fraud, more investors are now coming forward with the same story. They say tens of thousands of dollars are unaccounted for after investing in real estate and short-term rental property opportunities with Janae White.
Janae White owns several local businesses, including the J. White Business Center on Dunn Avenue. Consumer investigator Tiffany Salome joins us live after talking to a couple who says that they invested thousands of dollars, Tiffany?
And there are dozens of others in Jacksonville that tell me they've also lost money investing with Janae White. Watura and Denise Wright tell me that they got involved by investing in a turnkey Airbnb property. But after watching our investigation last night, they fear they've lost nearly $15,000.
All right, so general quick version of what's going on. This is the finesse, okay? This lady purports to have Airbnbs, but they aren't properties that she's owned. There's properties that she has long-term rental leasing agreements. Then she is renting those properties out via Airbnb. So it's kind of a sublessee type of thing. So the finesse is, you give me some money. These Airbnbs always have a book 90 to 100% of the time. You'll turn a profit in. Now, some of those profit numbers sound crazy as hell and unrealistic. That goes to something that I always say degree, but that was the general finesse that was going on. She's saying, give me money. I'll put you in on this Airbnb game. I have these Airbnbs. I don't own them, but I got long-term rental agreements in place, and we're subletting them via Airbnb, and I'll pay you back a 40, 50, 60 asinine return on your money that doesn't make sense. And this is terrible too. When you see this victim, you're going to be like, of all the victims that I would put on the stand if I'm prosecuting the case, this would be the number one person I would put on the stand.
I have multiple myeloma cancer, and my entire spine is cracked. I couldn't do the things that I used to do. So we decided to invest.
Watura and Denise Wright were looking for a reliable way to make passive income after a life-changing medical diagnosis.
Signed the documents we needed to sign, gave $10,000 cash at the time.
Contracts show the Wrights paid almost $15,000. to Janae White this summer, investing in an Airbnb property and in various credit repair programs. In 6 months, receipts show they only received about $1,200 in profits. Yet the Airbnb listing shows the property is 100% booked until October of 2025.
That's cap. Especially, like, 100% booked from now to October 2025. Yeah, Sir Cap-a-lot.
And they say they were expecting monthly profits close to $2,000.
Now to a news for Jax.
Now let's just think about that. Let's just stop for a moment, okay? And y'all know when we talk about scams and schemes and all of that stuff, when we talk about this stuff, I never really want to, because the victims are in fact victims, but hey, sometimes there has to be some accountability. They invested $15,000 and they expected to make $2,000 a month. $2,000 a month. Let's just put that into context, all right? If you get a 10% return on your investment in the market, I don't know about y'all, but I'm like, hell yeah. But they invested $15,000, okay? And they were expecting to get $2,000 a month over a 12-month period. Like, that's like, I mean, we talking what, $24,000 for a $15,000 investment for the first year? Like, that don't even make sense. That sounds like a finesse. So a big part of this, before we even talk about gender or race or who's more susceptible, the people who are really more susceptible are people who are uneducated about investments and realistic returns, and people who are greedy as fuck. I mean, that's just what it is. Hey, victims are victims. I understand they got finesse, but accountability is a part of it too. Like, everybody, parents or somebody told them if it's too good to be true, everything that shine ain't gold or some shit like that. I mean, I don't know. That's a saying that I heard growing up, but people do have to take some accountability. And you thinking if I could put $15,000 in an investment and make $24,000, you don't think everybody would be doing it? Like, I don't know. I think that's, if she was making that much money, why would she need your $15,000? I don't know. I think hey, sometimes cats get greedy, like we said, but let's go ahead and check out the rest of this video.
Team investigation.
The Airbnb listing shows the property is 100% booked until October of 2025, and they say they were expecting monthly profits close to $2,000.
Now to a news for Jax team investigation into a well-known Jacksonville entrepreneur.
They learned others were in the same boat as them after watching News for Jax last night.
Devastated. I'm worrying about taking care of my grandkids and my wife, providing my part of what I'm supposed to. I've never been one to take upon the system to take care of me.
The Wrights say they were never allowed to see their Airbnb investment property in person. After joining a Facebook group set up by other Jay White investors, they learned at least 3 other people have identical contracts and were sent identical profit and loss statements.
That's not human. To take away from people that has worked for their life for this.
Janae White is seen here in this now deleted Facebook Live video posted last Friday, reacting to the Facebook group.
You ain't getting your money back. Ooh, I don't want to say it on live. I don't want to implicate myself.
Anything you'd want to say?
She was on there talking real tough too. Like, yo, I got people who don't got Twitter fingers. Everybody, man, I don't get it, man. Like, I don't know, man. Everybody, when you deal business with people who, if people are engaged in an investment and one of their claims to fame is, yo, I'm a reformed street person, they still a street person through and through, especially if it's a finesse.
To Janae White, if you could talk to her today.
That was our hard-earned $10,000 to $15,000. And as you can see, my husband's condition, we need that money. And you promised a service that you could not provide. And that's disheartening.
If you have a complaint against Janae White, you can file a report by calling the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office non-emergency line. That number should be up on your screen now. It's 904-630.
All right, we ain't going to go with the snitch hotline number. But this was interesting because JT actually did an interesting breakdown of the profits, right? And let me explain this real short, because this will be a super easy case to invest, but I mean to investigate and probably prosecute. Definitely easy to investigate. I ain't gonna go as far as to prosecute, but it's easy to investigate because as soon as I listened to that news report, I was like, oh, this will really be easy to figure out. But I think how the math broke down was with the amount that she was renting or leasing the properties for in comparison to what she purportedly was making from her Airbnb proceeds, she was running at a monthly deficit, right? So every month, let's say she was running a deficit of $300 or $400. If you know that, you got a Facebook group with 200 people who said they got finessed by her, they all got the same contracts. I mean, the easiest way to investigate this is I would find everybody in that group, and you know, because they all, when people get finessed, they want to get their shit back, so they're gonna be cooperative as hell. Reach all the people in that group, find out and look at all their contracts, and find the month that everyone has the exact same identical contract. Because people looked and was like, yo, I got the same contract and the same profit and earnings statement than you. Whatever month, if February of 2023, out of that 200 people, 50 people had the exact same profit and earnings statements. And this property is shown to be allegedly 100% Airbnb rental for the past 2 years, all the way up until 2022. I would take a look at, hey, these 50 people or these 20 people, however this many group of people is, they all got the same profit and earnings statements. They all were purportedly paid, whatever, $1,000 out, let's say. Okay, now let's take a look at the profits that these properties earned during the month and see if they made enough profits to actually pay all of these people. If they didn't, okay, where'd you get the money from to pay these people? And then that's going to be really easy to track because now you can just kind of work backwards. But hey, that was one scam that is pretty terrible. Is always the worst because I don't know, like black on black crime is terrible, man, and especially like when it's crime with a pen. Because I mean, that dude's in a wheelchair, he's suffering from an illness. I think that was a terrible. But let's move on to another one, and this is the one that actually made me think of. I wonder do people know who get finessed more, men or women? So let's go ahead, cue that up. And it may or may not be true. I don't know. All of these people, all of the husbands could have been at work or something. I don't know what was going on. But when I saw this video, I thought, damn, did only women fall for this finesse? Let's go ahead and check this one out.
Eviction notices sent to more than a dozen tenants at a Tyler apartment complex. But those renters say they didn't do anything wrong. In fact, they blame an employee for this whole mess. Our Raleigh Jayswal has been working this story since this weekend. She joins us now with what she's learning.
Renters say the issues began earlier this month when their leasing agent sent them a special offer, half off their rent if they paid through the agent.
Okay, let's just pause it right here, okay? Like, again, I don't want to victim blame, but sometimes we got to have some accountability as to how things happen, all right? Now, just looking from this complex, and I actually looked up the complex. But let's
Raleigh Jayswal
take a look at
has
this
been working
complex.
this story since this weekend. She joins us now with what she's learning.
Renters say that.
All right, just visually looking at this complex, right? This generally looks like a building. Before I even know anything, before I even research anything, I'm just going off the straight eye test, off the what I see test. This looked like a building that's probably has very good upkeep and probably is ran very professional. I would be shocked if a building that looks like this with this many units in it, this many cars in the driveway has one individual owner who's going around collecting people's damn rent. I guarantee you that they probably got an act. They probably have an excellent third-party property management service that's running things very professional. They probably doing credit and low-level background checks. So that's first things first. This property looks like it's not a slum property. It's not some BS. Okay, that's first things first.
the issues began earlier this month when their leasing agent sent them a special.
Okay, stop. Now let's look at this text message, okay? Because we're going to hear what they say, but let's just take a look at this text message. One, I see too many damn emojis. If I don't know, if you have rent an individual home and you have express communication with the owner because that owner is acting as the landlord, maybe you would get a text message like this with emojis and palm faces and eggplants and all this crazy. This is crazy. But let's look at this text message before we get to the story. Okay, halo face. You pay half of the total to me after the full balance is paid and posted to your account, and you get a receipt and or can log in and view your ledger. This is strictly a me thing, okay? Red flag number one. The word me is appearing too many goddamn times, okay? I don't know how long these people been in this apartment, but I guarantee you they never got an invoice that said, pay me the sum of X, Y, and Z. It's probably to a corporation, an entity, some formalized business structure. But the word me appears too damn much. Next, let's take a look. This is strictly a me thing. The second me is capitalized. That smells like, yo, this is strictly a me thing. Don't worry about what's going on. That smells of finesse. This is strictly a me thing and a service I am offering. And I only offered it to certain residents. Come on now, really? The way that place looked in this damn text message, did this look like something that just seems legit? To me, maybe it's just me. I don't know. It just smells bad to me that a property management company would send some shit like this. But all right, and I only offer it to certain residents. Oh, look at the finesse. Single parents and people I feel like wouldn't snitch or run their mouth. What? To the whole community. Okay. Yo, bro, come on, man. Yo. I'll be honest, right? I'll be honest because I saw this clip before, but I never really looked at this damn message. But I was like, let me read it. Let me read this message right quick. And this message is fucking ridiculous. Pardon my language. Isn't that 10 o'clock? Isn't that time for me to be cursing on here yet? But this is ridiculous. I only offer this to certain residents, single parents, or people I feel like wouldn't snitch or run their mouth. That is not anything that a professional anything would say. If you send your rent money to some or half of your rent money or whatever they're trying to finesse to somebody who sent the text like you got a big ass piece of the accountability foolishness burger that you got to bite on. This is just DFD's opinion. I don't know. Y'all let me know. Maybe would y'all send that message to people? If you got that message, would you feel comfortable? Like, okay, yeah, my landlord, he don't want no snitches. He only looking out for the real ones and the single mothers. Like, no, he's showing like I want people who are probably struggling a little bit, single mothers, and who aren't going to tell so this can get out, so I can get away with the finesse, okay? Or people I feel like wouldn't snitch or run their mouth to the whole community. And that typo is ridiculous. Then there's palm face, LOL, cringe face. Of course, is that a cringe face? I don't know. I'm not good with emojis. I assume that's a cringe face. Of course, you can decline, but I wanted to offer it to my good peoples. Of course, you can decline this offer, but I wanted to offer it to my good peoples to save some coins, especially with school shopping at its peak. Oh my God, this just smells of finesse. All right, let me back it up a little bit so y'all can see what's going on. But that text message was the biggest crock of BS that I've ever seen in my life. Like, it was utterly freaking ridiculous.
And she joins us now with what she's learning.
Renters say the issues began earlier this month when their leasing agent sent them a special offer. Half off their rent if they paid through the agent.
I went into the leasing office to talk to her more because I know that in this time of day, there's a lot of scams going on. And I was like, hey, is this legit? Like, she was like, yes, girl, trust me, I'm your leasing agent.
Excited and relieved to be getting a discount, several residents took advantage of the offer.
She ensured me that I would get a receipt and that I can go into my portable and see that she had paid the amount.
I just checked my portal. I had a balance. And when I went back, it was zero. She sent me a picture of the receipt and everything. It was paid off.
But things took a turn. 2 weeks later, residents say they were hit with a double rent payment and a notice that they never paid.
Yeah, I was trying to pay the balance. Later on, they told me that my portable was locked and that I couldn't pay my rent.
And by Friday, I had the eviction notice to be out in 3 days, and there was nothing we could do to go in and pay it. They wouldn't let us.
By law, the tenant doesn't have to leave. It's just something to let that tenant know that the property manager or the property owner is going to follow through with an eviction process.
Complicating matters, the eviction notice shown to me by residents states the tenants facing eviction violated their lease by committing fraud or theft. But the residents say they're actually the victims here. They have filed a police report against the leasing agent, who has reportedly been fired.
I know I wasn't going to get my money back. So I went to the police station. I pressed charges.
Tyler PD says this investigation is still ongoing. According to Constable, the eviction has to be filed through the Justice of Peace office.
And we will go and serve what you call a citation, letting the tenants know that the eviction process has started. We're serving them, and then that will be a court date. It has to take place after 10 days.
We have reached out to the corporate office and leasing office at the Earl Campbell residencies, and they are not commenting at this time. Residents who got the eviction notice say they will be going to court to fight this. For now, reporting in Tyler, I'm Nirali Jaiswal with CBS 19.
Well, many.
All right, let's jump out of that one real quick. Let's talk about that video. That was the most ridiculous shit that I've ever seen when it comes to a scam. I don't know why it even popped up, probably because I watch a lot of scam videos. But it popped up on my phone, and when I watched it, like I said, this is really the first time I broke down that whack-ass text message, which was hilarious. Like, that text message was hilarious. But they targeted single women and people who they didn't think weren't going to snitch, okay? Now, I got to ask y'all a question, okay?
Eviction notices sent to more than a dozen.
Hold on, let me pull this up real quick.
They paid to offer.
Let's run this back, because I want to pause it right here.
This month, when
I want to pause it right here so everybody can take a look. And I'm going to run this screen up while I talk in the background for a second, okay? That's the text message that they got, all right? If you just joining in, that's the text message they got. It's the worst. It clearly smells scammy and mad suspect and doesn't pass the smell test. And I think anybody in their right mind, not right mind, but I think a majority, okay, I'm not going to say anybody, because I know I could be a little, sometimes I'm a little bit more experienced in people scamming, so I assume that on everybody, all right? But I think the majority of the people would read this and have a question about it. Now, let me ask this question, all right? And hey, I don't want you ladies, y'all give me an honest opinion. Do you think if this text message was sent to a woman who they targeted single mothers here, and I have my theories why they targeted single mothers, but I want y'all opinion. Y'all let me know if this text message would have been sent to a mother who had a husband or a fiance or her boyfriend living in the house with them. Do you think that the likelihood of them getting scammed would have went up or would have went down? Okay. Hey, the topic of the show is who gets scammed and who gets finesse most. And I'm going to talk about the results of what the findings are. But with regard to this scam right here, a bunch of single mothers with kids, black women sitting on the stairs, all about to get evicted because they got finessed after seeing a goofy ass text message like this. Do you think if this text message was sent to a household where it was a mother and a father actually in the house together, do you think that they would have still fell for the scam? Or do you think it was a higher likelihood they would have fell for the scam or a lower likelihood that they would have fell for the scam? I'm going to be honest. Maybe this is just me, but I don't think that, I don't say every guy, but I think that a lot of guys would have looked at this as being some suspect ass behavior. The other thing, and I couldn't really tell because they didn't tell from the story, but I take it from the way the story was presented and from the way that this message was written. I think that the person who finessed him was probably a woman. I just say that because we tend to attract and people who we can relate to. That's why you see, hey, if a black person running the scam, most of the victims be black people. That's just kind of what it is. People who we can kind of relate with. So I feel fairly confident that looking at this message, it was probably a woman who was playing to them strengths. Because if a guy sent that message, I don't know. I just don't think that it would have got looked at with the authenticity that it did as opposed to this message coming from a woman. But I think that this was absolutely terrible. I think that it was specifically targeted. I feel confident, I can't confirm it, but I feel confident that the perpetrator of this scam was probably a woman. Those women felt they had some rapport. Hey, we women, she looking out for us, school shopping and all. I want to look out for my people who ain't snitching. But I think that that was absolutely crazy, was a wild story. Again, guys fall for finesses too, but this one really stuck out to me as being really freaking terrible. And it targeted a population who was very vulnerable and probably honestly may not have nobody that they could even bounce that shit off of. Like, they wouldn't have sent that to no single father. I know that. If they would have sent that to a single father, most single dads would have been like, you want me to do what? Like, and I'm just be honest, I don't think the property management company is going to give them no relief. I know, hey, as someone who had tenants before, if they would have got finessed like that, I probably would have gave them a relief. But hey, a corporation with a nice ass complex like that, I seriously doubt if they give those ladies relief. But hey, that was the worst of all of them. Honestly, I think that was worse than the ultimate finesser with the Airbnbs. All right. We got a few more. I don't know if we want to go into the romance guy because that's the ex-romance scammer sharing his tactics. It's kind of wild. But let's turn the page. We want to look at a guy who's getting finessed, the elderly man who loses $800,000 in a lottery scam. Okay, and this is relatively new, so we about to jump in, take a look at this one, and then we're gonna rap about it a little bit. The hell? Did I jack it up? Good.
Before it even happened.
Crank it back.
Said emotional hacking. Scammers drained $800,000 from her dad's bank accounts.
He's a 76-year-old Ukrainian immigrant who sold his home in Washington state and essentially became homeless a week later. Fox 9's Corin Hoggard tracked down one of the people to whom the victim sent cashier's checks.
Yeah, I feel bad. Feel bad, really bad.
Bogdan Nalivaiko. All right, before we dive in, I know we're talking about like, hey, who's more susceptible, men or women? At the top of the list is the elderly. Like, trust me, elderly people, I've seen it all the time. Ponzi schemes, taking money from retired teachers who worked their whole ass off to have $1 million, 1.5 in their retirement account. So at the top of that list, the most vulnerable, I don't care if you're a man, woman, whatever the hell you identify with, the most vulnerable is elderly people because, I mean, one, they may not be as sharp or cognitively there, but two, elderly people, a lot of times, they may not have family. They want to have someone who they can trust and like, okay, this person give a damn about me. So they definitely are at the top of the list.
Yeah, I feel bad. Feel bad, really bad.
Bogdan Nalivaiko is living out of a Motel 6 these days, a far cry from the 2,300 square foot home he sold just a couple months ago. He planned to live the rest of his life off the proceeds, but by the time the movers came, Nalivaiko couldn't pay, prompting a call to his daughter.
It's like, yeah, you'll see. And then I pressed him and pressed him and pressed him, and then finally he relented and said, I won sweepstakes. And I'm like, oh no.
Julia Elders lives in Minneapolis, almost 1,700 miles away from her father.
Hey, trust me, I used to prosecute people who took advantage of vulnerable adults who lived in healthcare funded facilities, abuse, neglect cases. misuse of patient funds. If you not there and your parents are older and you like 2 states away, a state away, you aren't coming in every week, you better pray to goodness that they have the ability to be in a place where those people are getting adequately compensated to take care of your family members. Because a lot of those people in those homes don't give a damn about them. They'll try to rob people blind.
I won sweepstakes. And I'm like, oh no.
Julia Elders lives in Minneapolis, almost 1,700 miles away from her father. She knew what happened right away, but the scammers worked so quickly she was too late. The crooks called and texted Nalivaiko every day, convincing him to send cashier's checks in amounts up to $50,000, chipping away at his $800,000 balance.
From April 26th to May 3rd, it was zero.
I followed the trail of the ripoff artists to phone numbers and addresses all across the country. One number is connected to Exquisite Party Management in Florida. It's a party entertainment service registered to Jenica Jones, which is also the name on 2 of the $50,000 cashier's checks Nalivaiko sent. I got Jones on the phone, but she hung up on me after this exchange.
So what does that have to do with it? Well, like I said, he sent you more than $50,000 in cashier's checks, and I'm trying to figure out why.
Listening to my brief conversation with someone possibly connected to the scheme brought Elders to tears.
I keep coming up against this feeling of like how deep this is going, and it's really hard to wrap your head around of the types of people that are involved, what other things that they're doing, what kind of crime is also being committed with this money.
Elders says Chase and Bank of America should have recognized the unusual transactions and stepped in. We reached out to the banks and both told us they needed more time to investigate the situation.
I think banks are in the same position as us, where they would like to prevent this before it even happens.
The FBI is also investigating, and Elders talked to an agent just before our interview, but she's not convinced they'll be able to scrape back much of her father's money, if any.
And the onus is on me. The FBI told me, you have to be your own little sleuth.
A family friend started a GoFundMe to help Nalivaiko with living expenses. Seattle Seahawks wide receiver Tyler Lockett contributed $2,000. He also posted about it on social media.
So, Corin, he lost
let's
more than $800,000. So, which was his life savings. So what's he living off of right now?
Right. Certainly not the $17 million sweepstakes, but he actually has a $1,600 a month Social Security check that he gets every month. That isn't very much. So this GoFundMe account will hopefully get him into some stable housing, and then he'll have to figure it out from there.
Damn, that's the worst. That's the worst of all of them we've seen so far today. Because that everybody else, I'm gonna just be honest, like y'all was a little greedy. Y'all got something that was probably too good to be true. This dude probably genuinely believed that he won some shit. He probably not as sharp. He sold his house, had 800 racks there. Like, yeah, that's why I'm blessed that, like, you know, one, my parents older, but they, I guess, are mentally sharp. And if somebody asks them or come up to them with something that don't sound right, they gonna call my ass immediately. They don't care what time of day it is. It could be 5 in the morning. I get a text at 3, like, hey, somebody called me about this, or I got a text message about this. And you know, you have to have that access. And I can tell that I don't know. I don't think he was as sharp cognitively as some people his age were, because he's sending all of this stuff and he didn't even call his daughter and have a conversation with his daughter about it. I think at a minimum, most older people would be like, yo, I sent $4,000, but they told me they need another $5,000. What do you think? But the fact that he did it from $800,000 to absolutely fucking nothing over damn near less than 2-month period is wow. Like that's crazy. That's one. I don't think that's a man or woman thing. I think that that's just someone taking advantage of a vulnerable adult, which is absolutely terrible. All right, this last one we're going to look at, this is just kind of a breakdown of, hold on, let me see. Do we want to do that one? Give me a second. Let me see which one. I think I got a different one that I want to pull up here. I think I got a different one I want to pull up. I just been looking at so many scam videos. It's getting kind of freaking ridiculous. Elderly woman scammed out of $20,000. A university student bought a Tesla after stealing $547,000 and a credit card scam. People think man's Ukrainian girlfriend may be catfishing him. I want to show y'all that one, man. But that's one. I put the link of that to that one in a video because that dude the dude in the thumbnail look wild with the blue shirt on. Dude, the thumbnail in the blue shirt looking wild as I don't know what. So I think that's one gonna be good. But let's take a look at this video right here before we close it out. It's less than 2 minutes.
Well, you're tightening the belt this year.
We're going to look at the top scams of 2023. Then we're going to talk a little bit about, the personality traits that people have who fall for scams and some of the reasons. And I'm going to let y'all know in the battle of who's most likely to get finessed on the men versus women side of the game, who comes out on the losing end of the stick.
Well, you're tightening the belt this year and saving money, but there are a handful of growing scams that are designed to steal your money.
Tiffany Craig tells us what to watch out for this year.
2023 scams.
You can't afford to lose any money. We know that. So make sure you don't fall for scams, starting with one on Facebook Marketplace. That scam is up nearly 185%. Sellers report losing products to scammers who send fake checks or other bogus payments. And buyers report sending real money and getting nothing back. A tip to avoid losing money: stay on the platform to pay so you're protected if things go south.
See, for me, that sounds like common sense. If the damn platform gives you the ability to pay, why would you go outside of that platform and lose any particular protection? But I know how it go though. The scammer's probably like, look, I know you saw this online for $2,000. But if you send me a cashier's check, I give it to you for $1,500. So people gonna be like, man, I'm saving $500. Bet, let me go ahead and do that. And like people sending checks in the mail. I don't know. I think that's kind of crazy. I bought a motorcycle off of Craigslist, right? And when I bought a motorcycle off Craigslist, the guy gave me his name and like his LinkedIn and everything. So of course I did some open source research. We met. I think I bought it for like $3,000 or $4,000 cash. I'm not walking around with that cash. I had like a cashier's check, and I was like, "Where you bank at?" He told me where you bank at. I was like, "I'll meet you outside of your bank. Bring the motorcycle up. It'll be noon." So like noon on the day of, he pulls up with the motorcycle. I got the cashier's check. We right outside of his bank. I take a look at the title, make sure everything legit. All right, everything legit. He right around the corner. I hop on it. I was like, here, I had like 300 cash. I gave him 300 cash so I could just test drive the bike. Once I test drove it, so it was all right. Got my 300 back. Gave him his cashier's check so he could go in the bank, deposit it. Once the deposit went through, he knew it wasn't on no fugazi stuff. I already had the title. It was a done deal. Everything was on the up and up. And I already told him, I'm gonna be honest, I told him up front. I was like, it will behoove you not to try to finesse me, bro. I was like, look, if you finesse me, it's not going to work out well for you, okay? I'm not saying I would have did anything ignorant. What year was this? I don't know. That's a long time ago. I might have did something ignorant. I was just like, bro, it would be in your best interest not to try to finesse me on the finesse side of the game. I'm not one to get got like that. So it ended up working itself out. But normally you want to stay on that platform. If you own on that platform, and you sending a check to somebody for goods and services, you want to make sure like, yo, we're meeting at the same place. I'm not sending you nothing in the mail and waiting for you to mail me the product. But that scam is up 185%. Like, I see why people think they're getting the break and they really getting hosed.
The next one is the Zelle scam. It's up 86% on the digital payment platform. Victims are baited with fake rental listings or pets for sale. After they send money through the app, they get nothing. Avoid this scam by sending money only to people you know and trust.
Who takes a rental payment for Zelle? Like, I don't know. It's been, 2017, the last time I actually rented a place. And I know they had these payment methods. They were kind of burgeoning in 2017, but I don't know. I just think that's foolish. That like maybe for a puppy or something, I could see like yeah, but like a rental payment through Zelle or through the number one crime cash payment cash app, like I don't know. I just think that just sound mad shiesty.
Third up is the tax IRS scam. The usual fake calls are still happening, but so are offers of fake tax.
Yo, my dad got one of these recently, right? And he some years ago he had a little bit of a tax situation. So like all black people, he's scared crapless of the IRS. And he got one of these calls. It was like, yeah, the IRS called me about such and such, and I just was like, I'm sure it's a scam. Don't worry about it. But hey, because he had that previous experience with the IRS before years ago when he was doing his own business thing, and he had some little IRS issues he had to resolve. He has this permanent fear ingrained in his brain. So that's the one where when they called him, I could tell that he was like, "Is this really IRS?" He was shook, but luckily it was just finesse. He didn't fall for it.
But so are offers of fake tax debt relief. The person on the other end just needs a fee. Well, it's a scam. The IRS will never call and never ask for money. And the last scam is on the WhatsApp.
All right, I got a funny story. Sextortion on WhatsApp. This is hilarious.
Sextortion is one of the popular ways to get your money. You share intimate pictures and then you're blackmailed for money or those images are posted. If you don't know the person, don't send them pictures you might regret later. We have more scams and tips to avoid becoming a victim on this story at khou.com.
All right, real quick. I got a funny story about sextortion, right? So I want to say I had a rental house in North Carolina, and the tenants had just moved out. So I was going down there to do some recon. My property managers already took pictures, and I don't know if these people went on the run or they won the lottery, but they just like it was like somebody said, "Y'all need to leave now because we coming to off y'all, knock y'all off," and they just left everything. I'm talking about baby cribs, all that shit was still in there. So I was like, I told my brother, I was like, "Yo." He was off. I was like, "Hey, rest in peace." I was like, "Come down with me. We're gonna go down to Carolina. Hey, I drive. I take care of the stay. I'm gonna hook them up. I don't ask nobody to do nothing and expect it to free. I don't care if you my family or not. That's just not how I roll." So I was like, "Yeah, I hook you up. Blah blah blah. Help me get the ball rolling on getting this stuff cleared up." I ended up paying somebody to come in to do it, but he just came down there with me, helped me out with a few things, right? So while he down there the whole time, he on his phone, right? And I'm like, he had me laughing. I was dying. He's on his phone. And I'm like, "Man, what you over there doing?" He's like, "Yeah, trying to hook up with this chick." And so like an hour later, he was like, "Man, no, they didn't try to get me." And I'm like, "What's going on?" He was like, he was like, "Man, this daggone girl I met on the app, she wanted me to send her some pictures." So I sent some pictures. Then she sent me a picture back that had two pictures. It had the private picture that I sent her, and it also had my Facebook picture on my Facebook profile image on there. And she was like, "If you don't send me $300 or $500, I'm gonna send this picture to all your Facebook friends." Now she clearly didn't know who she was fucking with, because my brother was like, he was like, "Send you $500." He was like, "Man," his comment had me rolling. He was like, "Man, I don't care if you send that to my friends. That's probably not gonna be the first time they seen it." He said it like that Joe was his profile picture, but somebody tried to hit him with the sextortion side of the game, but they didn't realize that they was messing with the wrong dude, and he was like, "Nah, I'm not falling for no sextortion. You can send that picture to my mother for all I care. I don't give a damn." Needless to say, they never sent the picture anywhere, and they realized that they was trying to finesse the wrong dude on the sextortion side of the game. So, all right, now let's go ahead and close this out. We're going to talk about some data points and who falls for scams more and why. Okay, first, let's talk about vulnerability factors. And I've been in a gazillion training, thousands of hours of training on fraud and fraud detection and all sorts of craziness. Vulnerability factors, and essentially the emotional and psychological vulnerability of fraud. You got 5 of them. One is loneliness. Where does that occur? On the relationship, February, Christmas, New Year's Eve, boo side of the Nigerian Prince game, right? When you see those romance scams, oh, I met someone in Ghana who loves me so much and I'm gonna send him money and all this, that. The other one is financial instability. When you have some type of financial economic hardship, hey, job loss, a downturn in the market, it could be anything that gives you a hard, tough financial impact, like abrupt getting punched in the face. People are prone to be more risky and make bad decisions to make them more susceptible to fraud. Also, is emotional distress. I think that ties in to number two. If you have a financial situation, a death in the family, anything that can trigger emotional reaction where you're reacting instantly without taking the time to step back, look at the situation from a bird's eye view, and think more than 5 days ahead, think 6 months ahead, 12 months ahead. When you have anything that's going to, you're going through an emotional decision, you're going to be a little bit irrational. That's why I always say, and I don't care what it is, it could be something as simple as a car accident. I wrecked my car, I need a new car. You immediately going to be like, I'm going to go get a new Bentley or whatever the hell you want. Sometimes you got to pump your brakes, but an emotional distress situation can cause you to be more susceptible to being scammed because you're not thinking rationally. You're just focused on whatever that isolated issue was that caused this emotional disaster or distress. Cognitive impairment, I think we've seen that from the old guy who lost 100 bands, 100 racks, and damn 800,000, my bad, in less than 2 months. He thought he won the lottery or some jackpot. He just consistently sending money. He didn't even reach out to his daughter. His daughter didn't get knowledge until it was too late. He didn't have the cognitive abilities to be able to assess that situation. So cognitive impairment due to age or a medical condition or injury could be something that'll make a person more susceptible to fraud. And like I said, this is always the case. Lack of knowledge or education. If you have no familiarity with investments and what is a reasonable investment, what is a reasonable return or potential loss with a certain asset, you're going to be victim to getting finessed easy as hell if you don't have the knowledge. And again, I think also on this list, we should throw greed up there. But like with that first individual, the poor guy in the wheelchair who got finessed by the Airbnb girl, there's no way anyone who has a basic fundamental knowledge, just the foundation of investing, would believe that I can invest $15,000 once and get $2,000 a month for what, the next year indefinitely. Like, it just doesn't make any damn sense. Okay. They also have up here gullible, being naive, how trusting people can lead to being scammed. That rolls with and what I talked about, where people find a commonality. You have the woman who I believe, the person who I believe is a woman sending a text message that's spelled wrong and all jacked up to single mothers. They can relate to another woman, so they're more likely to buy into that. When you got black people investing in that black Airbnb queen who's the Airbnb bullshit queen, you're going to be like, yo, this is a sister. I want to support her. I can relate to her. So that trust is often built by commonality. It could be race, it could be religion, it could be background. That's something that you got to look out for. Can make you more susceptible to fraud. The power of social influence. They may pose as authority figures, subject matter experts, law enforcement posing as the IRS. They may use social proofs to seem more legitimate. Testimonials of people who they may be paid or is in on it, it can get a little wild. Social proof is social BS sometimes. Scammers may use peer pressure to manipulate their victims. Scammers may create a sense of scarcity around their offer, like, yo, like we saw in the text message, this is the one-time offer. I'm only doing it for people I know who won't snitch. That's because they don't want you to tell on their ass. Scammers may use techniques to get their victims to commit to a small action or statement, such as agreeing to receive more information. That's always what you see. Pay for my credit repair course, And when I finesse your credit to make your credit score go up by lying on these forms saying that you don't have this debt or this isn't your debt, then you should get my upgraded course to show you how to be a real estate guru or a trucking guru or a mastermind to show you how to master the YouTube side of the game. Scammers may use emotional appeals as well to manipulate their victims, claiming that their offer will help the victim solve a difficult problem or achieve a long-held dream. Aren't you tired of working paycheck to paycheck, living paycheck to paycheck, struggling? Yo, if you invest in this piss coin, it's the next crypto to blow up. Now, let's talk about who is most susceptible, men or women, to falling for scams, right? Before we dive in, before I give out the answers, y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. But this is how it breaks down, okay? I got to give y'all the facts. We can't just do it in general, okay? Because some scams men are more susceptible to, some scams women are more susceptible to. So I'm going to name a few areas and, give y'all a few minutes to say, just drop a M or W in the comments to let me know, okay? We're going to start out with one that's the multi-level marketing. People selling prepaid legal, Mary Kay products. Who do you think, what gender is more susceptible to a multi-level marketing scam? Do you think it's men or women? I don't know. Hey, your boy was feel susceptible to a multi-level marketing scam when I was a youngster. So who do you think? Is it men or women to multi-level marketing? What's up, Wolverine? Hit that DJ Envy. I got a real estate proposal for you. Man, that joke was on the finesse side of the game. Well, when it comes to multi-level marketing, women by a larger range are more susceptible to multi-level marketing scams. And it was funny because when I looked at that data point, I thought about it. I was like, when I was 18 and had all those zits on my face, who was in those weekly meetings that they wanted us to bring new people to gas everybody up to sell goddamn prepaid legal? And now that I thought about it, it was like 80% women in there. It was 80% women in there probably every week who were like, yes, I'm pumped up to sell people this legal insurance that ain't gonna do shit when they really need a lawyer. So I wanted to go to the movies during the day, man. Once I saw that dude in the suit going to the movies, I was bored in. But so women are more susceptible to fall for those types of schemes. All right, the next one, because this is a good one, and I want to talk about this. I want to backtrack on this comment. Let me look at this comment real quick. Shout out to my guy No Name who left to the poll question. Who do you think is more likely to get scammed, men or women? 78% said women, 22% said men, and my guy No Name said scams run on the emotions trumping logic. The answer is pretty clear cut on this one. So with that being said, who do you think is more likely to fall for romance scams? Okay, the scams where you on some dating app or Facebook and somebody slide into your DM and they finessing you, sending you kissy faces and peach and eggplants emojis. Is men or women? Do you think men or women are more likely to fall for those scams? That one is interesting because I thought it was women too, but it's actually men. Men statistically fall for the romance scams at a higher rate than women. I was shocked at that too, because it seems like every time I see a story of it, it's some poor woman. It's some poor woman who's just getting finessed. I had a video that I was going to show, but I was like, I don't want this thing to become too damn long. But men are more likely to fall for the romance scams than women are. I think the margin was something to the effect of 10% of men, 1 out of 10 men have fell for some type of romance scam, as opposed to something like 6 to 7% of women. Now, hey, this is the other question too. Are we counting strip clubs as romance scams? Because if we are, men might fall for those at like a 30-40% clip. If we count strip clubs as a romance scam, men might fall for it at like a 50% clip. The men must have a lot of other issues. Yeah, that's true. They might have some other issues going on. But yeah, men fall for romance scams at a 10% rate, 1 out of every 10. Women, it was around 6 to 7%. So a little bit smaller. Numbers wise, it's probably the same because you got to think it's more women just in the world than men. But statistically, guys, it makes sense too because it makes sense in hindsight. I thought it was women. Then when I saw the data point and I actually thought about it, I was like, wait a minute. We got generations out here of people, men who are growing up following people on YouTube, buying man courses on how to be a man so they can learn how to get Instagram models. So let's just be honest, there's a lot of men simping out here, right? So because there's a lot of men simping out here, I think that kind of made sense when I thought about it. Let me live out my fantasy of peace. All right. And while we at it, actually, Generation Z is something crazy. They're like 15% more likely to fall for a scam than the previous generation. Like people in my age bracket, we kind of just don't trust nobody. But people in Gen Z, they like, yo, they in that microwave, like we want everything fast. So I think this piss coin, oh man, I'm gonna get into what was those dumbass things that everybody was getting oh man, the name escapes me. Damn, the digital monkey emblems that people was buying, and everybody's like, oh, this is gonna be the next phase, and everybody was buying that shit. I can't even think of what it was called, man. But when people was buying people spending thousands of dollars buying a digital picture of a monkey. I thought it was racist personally, but everybody was like, no, NFTs. Oh, these NFTs is going to be hot. So, that's just kind of a side note. Gen Z is more likely to fall for finance scams than the previous generation. All right. Now, when we talk about what I like to call the more sophisticated schemes, okay, the more sophisticated schemes, in this category, I'm gonna talk about things like the real estate investing, a Ponzi scheme with something related to, oh, give me your money and I'm investing in these stocks for you. I think those are a little bit more complex than the Nigerian prince, than the lottery, because people think that they're actually acquiring an asset. With romance schemes, it's an ass involved, but not an asset. With a more complex financial scheme, they like, oh, I'm getting this asset to get a return on my investment. So when it comes to those type of schemes, do you think men are more susceptible or women are more susceptible to actually falling for those type of schemes? Just drop an M or W in the comments and let me know what you think. Hey, again, fellas, we are the ones who are more susceptible to what I would define as complex finance schemes. And let me explain the reason why. I'm actually going to show y'all an image. I'm gonna show y'all an image of the answer to this poll question. And I laughed as soon as I saw the poll question because I already knew the stats on it. But as soon as I saw this poll response, I laughed and it actually had me rolling. Let me see. Let's stop that. Let's share this screen. Which one we want to use? We want to use this right here. All right. So let's take a look on the screen. Let's go ahead and make that a little bit bigger, okay? My guy No Name left that remark right there, right? And I read that remark to you all. That was a poll question I put up. Who's more likely to get finesse, men or women? And he put a comment: scams run on emotion, trumping logic. The answer is pretty clear cut on this one. And I burst out laughing when I saw that. I know mostly guys watch this channel, but what he wrote was the exact reason why men fall for complex financial crimes at a higher rate, because they think they are least likely to fall for it because they're overconfident. No one will ever get me. That is what causes them to get overconfidence, comes back to bite us in the ass at the end. It's me. I think like that. I literally think that no one will ever scam me. And I'm telling you right now, if I ever get scammed, I'm coming on the channel to talk about it because I'm gonna be like, man, I was just like No Name, man. I thought because I was in this game, nobody would get me, and they finessed my black ass. But I laughed when I saw that comment because the overconfidence and not thinking you're going to get scammed because you think you can do a super evaluation, a deep dive into people to find out whether or not you're getting finessed is what leads to brothers getting scammed more. So fellas, generally as a whole, when we look at the totality of it, men fall for financial scams as a whole more on average than women do. So what does that mean? Hey, long story short, that means that our overconfidence and cockiness can come back and bite us in the ass sometimes. So that's something that we definitely have to be aware of. That anybody could get it, okay? Like they used to say in the streets, anybody could get it. Anybody could get finessed. You can get finessed by a big institution like all of these guys who invested in FTX crypto, or you can get finessed by a bank who wasn't doing the right thing. That stuff is possible. You just got to try to act accordingly and think smart. But I don't know. It's just kind of wild. But on average, fellas, we are more likely to get finessed on the scam side of the game than a woman. It is what it is. Hopefully it's not me. If it is me, I'm going to be pissed the hell off. I'm gonna be on Tony the Closer channel telling her, I'm like, yeah, then they told me, here go the text message. I'm snitching like hell. I'm telling everybody everything. But that's it for this video. It was just interesting, man. I think prepaid legal still taking money out of my account. If they still taking money out of your account, they owe me some money because I ain't getting no residual kickback since it was a multi-level marketing scheme. So if they still taking money out of your account, let me know. And when I get my kickback from them, I'll punt it over to you to account for all those years where you were still getting it taken out of your account. Prepaid legal is the worst. They only do one thing good. They only did one thing good. If you need a will or like a medical directive, that's the only time that I actually seen like, okay, their services worked out well. But outside of that, let you get in a car accident or you get a DUI or you have to shoot somebody with your firearm in the cell, prepaid legal gonna leave your ass in there. They ain't paying your bond. You're gonna be screwed. You better off calling me. I'm gonna tell you I ain't your lawyer, but at least I'm gonna pick up the damn phone. If you got a real legal issue, do not go to prepaid legal. You might as well rent and invest in an Airbnb from the sister White who we was talking about at the beginning of the show. That's it for this video. I hope y'all have a good weekend. If you enjoyed this video, check out what's on the screen. There's going to be more content related to finance and attorney reactions. Y'all be safe. Peace.